Anime is a vast landscape of original ideas and creative uses of animation. The selection of series that every fan has to choose from is like a kid on their first trip to the Lego store. Even though there is all of this variety, one thing remains, and that is the usage of common tropes seen throughout anime. So today, I figured it would be a terrible use of my time to go through a couple of tropes and rate them on a tier list, from S tier, amazing, to F tier, absolutely abhorrent. S tier will be the tropes that I think actually impact the story in a positive manner, while F tier will be the tropes that are overused or don't add anything to the story itself. So without further ado, let's take a look at some tropes, shall we? The power of friendship is a staple in anime targeted for children. Series like Yu-Gi-Oh! Used it back in the day, and we all thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. This works out for series targeted towards younger folks, but when it is used in series targeted towards teens and young adults, it kind of just falls flat. Fairy Tail and Sword Art Online are series that use this trope to empower the characters to a point where they just seem unbeatable. The power of friendship typically revolves around a resolve to protect your friends, or teaming up with friends to defeat a common enemy. I understand friends are cool and all, but half the time me and my friends are insulting each other, so I don't know if I could get a power boost from that. C tier. Tournament arcs are a staple of shonen anime and sports anime. In sports anime, they're a bit more understandable, seeing the landscape of sports is based on a tournament format. But in shonen, they're put in there for power scalers to have a field day. Tournament arcs are typically entertaining and can lead to other arcs, as the tournament could be interrupted by the big bad, or introduce characters that could be the big bad. The Chunin exams from Naruto and the Dark Tournament from Yu Yu Hakusho are examples of this trope being used in a great way. The battles are interesting and the stakes are shown perfectly, as it seems like life or death for our characters. Like I said earlier, these arcs are a power scaler's dream, as different characters display their feats. B tier. The inner demon trope is commonly used in shonen, where the main character has another soul or a demon inside of them that comes out typically during battles. Characters like Naruto and Ichigo from Bleach display this perfectly, as well as the narrator from Fight Club. The idea of an inner demon giving overpowered abilities to a protagonist, basically giving them plot armor, sounds like a bad thing, but in all reality it is quite entertaining. A tier. When the fireworks go off at a festival, you know what's going down. Every romance series has to have a scene where the love interests realize their feelings or partake in some uncensored handholding in the backdrop of some colorful fireworks. At some point of every romance anime, you know this scene will happen, and the squeals of fanboys will be heard around the world. The series will typically peak at this moment, with feelings being expressed and intimate moments being had. S tier. The typical isekai protagonist stems from a man known as Kirito, who baited all anime fans into thinking Sword Art Online would be good after the first 13 episodes. This type of protagonist has black hair, is super overpowered, and can basically handpick a harem of girls that fall for him, though he may have absolutely no riz at all. It's genuinely incredible to me that there are this many of basically the same character. Like, wouldn't it get overplayed at some point for the animators or authors of these series? Not saying the series with these types of characters are bad, but they are overused. F tier. Yes. Here's a good one. Fan service is when a series uses cultured camera angles or puts our characters into a situation where there may be some panty shots or ab shots for our ladies out there. This is one that many fans hate because it can detract from the story. Personally, I do not have a problem with a little bit of fan service to keep everybody happy. Some series make their entire personality fan service, which many fans do enjoy. High School DxD has a cult following due to the fan service being mixed in with a pretty good plot, so I won't complain about that. C tier. Every character at some point has to train for the most important battle. Using an entire arc may not be the best way to do this though. Training arcs usually end up being boring, like filler arcs, and may not add anything to the story except maybe giving our protagonist a finishing move. The Hashira training arc is a good example due to the recency of it. Many fans say it is the most boring arc. I guess the saving grace of it is that it is the shortest arc, but still feels just like filler, D tier. An absolute staple of harem series. It's not a true harem series if the main character has no clue what's happening half the time. I swear, some of these characters are as good at reading signals as a cricket player playing American football. There are too many series to count with a guy like this, and they have to be written in a way that just pisses you off when you watch it. Another reason they are written this way has to be the fact that the main character's idiocy puts more highlight on the actual well-written characters. Maybe I'm trying to be too logical about this, but every time I watch a harem series, I can't help but wonder if the main character was dropped on their head as a child. F tier. Hell yeah, we got story-altering plot points. This trope can be done in ways that completely change the course of the story in a positive way, catching you completely off guard in moments where you're like, did that actually just happen? However, there are also times where it's done in a way where the villain had the most obvious introduction and they tried to make it like an oh my goodness moment, but it just turned out to be abysmal dog shit. Let's take Aizen for example. At the time Bleach was releasing and nobody knew anything about the manga or series, the setup for his eventual betrayal was perfect. I knew it was going to happen and was still shocked at just how well it was done. Then take Erased, where the main villain was obvious from the jump, which many think leads to an underwhelming ending for a great build-up. A tier if done right, D tier if done poorly. Whenever the transfer student is introduced, you know something's gonna go down. In romance, the transfer usually is a major character who gains the attention of all of the potential love interests, or they are the love interest themselves. In shonen, the transfer student will usually be overpowered and change the course of the series. It is extremely predictable, which takes away the wow factor of the trope. This trope was especially popular back in the day, where I feel like many series used this just to add another character to the fold, and it didn't actually add much to the overall story. But I'll still give it a B tier. It's always fun to see a rival redeem themselves through becoming an ally later on in the story. I can't say I prefer this to the anti-hero, where the character never really aligns themselves with a side, but provides assistance every so often. Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a perfect example of this, where he pretty much just does his own thing, aura farming on the way, but will oftentimes assist Yugi pretty much just for his own gain. But characters like Sasuke who become an ally in the 4th Great Ninja War just felt kinda forced. Polnareff in Stardust Crusaders of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure I think is a positive example for this, as he was a villain of the week who actually became a fantastic and beloved character through the journey, and even made an appearance in later parts, though he was just a Joe bro. C tier. Anti-heroes would be A tier though. The sudden power-up just screams plot armor. If you couldn't use the power originally, why does it come up when you're knocking on death's door? Kind of a cop-out to me. Some series like Attack on Titan, where Eren turns into a titan while on death's door, basically gets the plot of the show going though. Similarly to Tokyo Ghoul when Kaneki accepts his ghoul side. There are major plot progressions with this trope, but as with many others, it can be done terribly. Many people point to Vasto Lorde Ichigo as a cop-out, which even as a Bleach glazer, he did get a hole put straight through his chest. I don't know how anyone could survive that without having some plot assistance, but it is still one of the most hype moments of the series. C tier. And with that, I have gone over some of the most common anime tropes. There are some good, some questionable, and some absolutely terrible tropes that happen in almost every series. These tropes do not define the series, but either add or take away from the plot, or make a series predictable. Every series is special in its own way, and that's why we love anime. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like, and comment what your favorite trope is. I'll see you next time.